Welcome to today's topic. In this topic, we will discuss the question and answers of the chapter Power Sharing. So first we will learn the short answer type questions of marks 1 or 2. So the first question states, after independence, Sri Lanka witnessed the supremacy of which community? After independence in 1948, Sri Lanka witnessed the supremacy of Sinhala community. Next question, what is the official religion of Sri Lanka? It is Buddhism. Now, power sharing makes a country more powerful and united. Do you agree with this statement? Yes, because this statement is correctly stated. Now the long answer type questions of marks 3 or 4. Do you think that the steps taken by Sri Lankan government to establish the supremacy of Sinhalas were justified, be long lasting? Give your viewpoint. The steps taken by Sri Lankan government to establish Sinhala supremacy cannot be justified as long lasting because of the following reasons. These steps ignored the interests of minority community. Even the basic rights were not given to them. Discrimination based on religion and language for the deprived other communities in Sri Lanka. Repeated denial of the demands further developed distrust and ignited the situation that resulted in a civil war, causing terrible setback to Sri Lankan social, cultural and economic life. Next question, sharing of powers makes a country more powerful and united. Justify the statement. Now, the power sharing ensures that all people have stake in government. Power sharing ensures maximum participation. It upholds the concept of people's rule. It always brings better outcomes in democracy. It ensures the political stability in democracy. Power sharing accommodates diverse groups. It helps to reduce the possibility of conflict between social groups. Next question, describe any three majoritarian measures taken by the Sri Lankan government to establish Sinhala supremacy. In the year 1956, an act was passed which established Sinhala as the official language to be used in Sri Lanka, disregarding the minority group of Tamils. The passing of this act created a feeling of alienation among the minority group, that is Sri Lankan Tamils, and they started to feel left out from the society. The government then started adopting and formulating government policies that favored the Sinhala people in government jobs and for university positions, which made the Sri Lankan Tamils feel ousted. The Sri Lankan government further proclaimed that they shall foster and protect only Buddhism as their state religion and refused to cater to any other religion, disregarding the religion of Sri Lankan Tamils. Next question, bring out any two sharp contrasts between Belgium and Sri Lankan democracies. Belgium produced an ideal example of democratic system. It adopted the policy of accommodation of social and ethnic divisions. On the other hand, Sri Lanka also adopted democratic systems but followed majoritarian policies. Under the Belgian model of democracy, power was shared among two ethnic groups. Sri Lanka favored the interests of the majority Sinhala community. In Belgium, both the groups had equal share in working of government, but in Sri Lanka, the minority community was isolated. To maintain political stability and unity, equal representation was provided to both the groups. Apart from that, community government of both the ethnic groups also existed at the local level. Sri Lanka, however, had no such arrangement. Belgium constitution was amended 4 times before arriving at a final draft to prevent civil strife. In Sri Lanka, majoritarianism led to civil war for 20 long years. Next question, explain the three ways by which Belgium has accommodated the existing regional differences and cultural diversities. When the Belgian leaders recognized the existence of regional differences and cultural diversities, they amended their constitution 4 times in order to accommodate these differences. These were equal number of ministers. The government of Belgium has equal number of Dutch and French speaking ministers. This has done to give equal power to the majority and minority language speaking groups. Then setting up of a community government. A third kind of government named the community government is introduced in addition to the central and state government. This government has the power regarding cultural, educational and lingual issues. This government comprises members from all the three communities, Dutch, French and German speaking. Fair share of power. Many powers of the central government have been given to the state governments of the two regions of the country. The state governments are not subordinate to the central government but are independent. Then, equal representation. In the state government of Brussels, the capital city, both the French and Dutch speaking communities have equal representation. Next question, sharing of powers makes a country more powerful and united. Do you agree with the statement? I have already discussed this question. This is a repeated question. Now, highlight the measures adopted by the Belgium Constitution for the prevention of conflicts in Belgium. This question answer has also been explained just now, so I will not discuss this question again, but the type of question here is different. Next question, describe any three provisions of the Act which was passed in Sri Lanka in 1956 to establish Sinhala supremacy. The following are the majoritarian measures adopted by the Sri Lankan government to establish Sinhala supremacy. In the year 1956, an act was passed which established Sinhala as the official language to be used in Sri Lanka, disregarding the minority group of Tamils. The passing of this act created a feeling of alienation among the minority group, that is, Sri Lankan Tamils, and they started to feel left out from the society. The government then started adopting and formulating government policies that favored the Sinhala people in government jobs and for university positions, which made the Sri Lankan Tamils feel ousted. The Sri Lankan government further proclaimed that they shall foster and protect only Buddhism as their state religion and refuse to cater to any other religion, disregarding the religion of Sri Lankan Tamils. Next question, how have Belgium and Sri Lanka dealt with the questions of power sharing differently? Belgium produced an ideal example of democratic system. It adopted the policy of accommodation of social and ethnic divisions. On the other hand, Sri Lanka also adopted democratic system but followed majoritarian policies. Under the Belgian model of democracy, power was shared among two ethnic groups. Sri Lanka favored the interests of the majority Sinhala community. In Belgium, both the groups had equal share in working of government, but in Sri Lanka, the minority community was isolated. To maintain the political stability and unity, equal representation was provided to both the groups. Apart from that, community government of both the ethnic groups also existed at the local level. Sri Lanka, however, had no such arrangement. Belgium constitution was amended 4 times before arriving at a final draft to prevent civil strife. In Sri Lanka, majoritarianism had led to civil war for 20 long years. Next question, explain 2 reasons as to why power sharing is desirable. Now, there are many reasons as to why power sharing is important in a democracy. The following are the 2 main sets in which the reasons can be broadly divided. First one is the prudential reason. Power sharing helps to reduce the possibility of conflict between social groups. It is a good way to ensure the stability of political order, as social conflict often leads to violence and political stability. Now, moral reasons. Power sharing is the very spirit of democracy. The concept of democracy is a system of government of the people, by the people and for the people, which emphasizes on distribution of power among people. It involves sharing powers with those affected by its exercise and who have to live its effects, so that the people would be consulted on how they are to be governed. Next question says, explain how power is shared between different organs of government. In democracy, power is shared among different organs of government, that is, legislature, executive, and judiciary, through the horizontal distribution of power. It is so because it allows different organs of government to be placed at the same level to exercise different powers. In horizontal divisions, different organs exercise their power based on the concept of separation of powers, such as the legislature makes laws, executive enforces these laws, and judiciary interprets these laws. This results in balance of power among different organs of government. No organ can exercise unlimited power as each organ checks the other. Hence, in horizontal division, the concept of checks and balance is followed. The power is shared between different organs of the government in horizontal form of power sharing. Next question: what is majoritarianism? How has it increased the feelings of alienation among Sri Lankan Tamils? Explained with examples. Majoritarianism is a concept which signifies a belief that the majority community should be able to rule a country in whichever way it wants. In this type of rule, the majority community disregards the wishes and needs of the minority community. The majoritarian concept has increased the strong feelings of alienation among Sri Lankan Tamils after a series of majoritarian measures adopted by the democratically elected government in Sri Lanka after its independence in 1948 to establish Sinhala supremacy. In 1956, an act was passed to recognize Sinhala as the only official language, thus disregarding Tamil. The government followed preferential policies that favored Sinhala applicants for university positions and government jobs. A new constitution advocated that the state shall protect and foster Buddhism. Now, the last question in this series: describe the demands of Sri Lankan Tamils. How did they struggle for their demands? The following were the demands of Sri Lankan Tamils: recognition of Tamil language and that Tamil should be given equal status with that of the Sinhala language and should be added as an official language. There should be no discrimination between Sri Lankan Tamils and Sinhala residents of Sri Lanka in government jobs and university posts. Their religion should be equally respected with that of Buddhism and they should be given equal political rights. They struggled for their demands in the following ways. By 1980, several political organizations were formed demanding an independent Tamil state. Sri Lankan Tamils launched struggles for the fulfillment of their rights. As a result, a civil war was proclaimed and thousands of people were killed when their legitimate demands were denied by the Sri Lankan government. So thank you and see you in my next lecture.